3 of my best tips in the next 30 seconds. Let's see if I can do it. Number 1, ghost followers, bot followers, inactive followers are the boat anchors that hold your engagement rate down and keep you from getting in front of the real people and real potential customers for your page and for your business. The tool I use to identify these is called Hype Auditor. Number 2, hashtags have been one of the most important factors in expanding my reach. The app I use to pick hashtags is called Plan. This app allows me to create sets of hashtags, copy and paste them into my captions. Number 3 is knowing what time to post when your audience is the most active. And the app I use to figure out when this is called Command. The reason I love it is because it doesn't just tell you when your audience is online, it tells you by time zone when the most people are on Instagram, and it also tells you by your personal following. So those are the 3 tips I have. Let's get into the video.
Oh, yeah.
This video is going to be my top strategies for increasing engagement on your page. In order for this video to have some context, I really need to sort of tell you my story so it'll make sense. Now, a lot of people know me today as this guy who's men's fashion blogger. It was not always this way. 6 years ago now, in 2013, I was reviewing oil leases. I was working the 9 to 5 in a cubicle. I was miserable. I hated going to work. My everyday looked like I would wake up, dread going to work. I would take a shower and think about how much I didn't want to go to work. So this time was a big self-discovery time for me. I went on a self-development binge. I came across a quote during this time, and I don't know why this quote stuck out to me. It's an ordinary quote, but I guess it was just the timing of it. And the quote was, "Dress for the job you want, not the job you have." And for some reason, I decided to act on this quote. So the next day, I went to work and I wore a suit and I wore a tie and I was feeling good and looking good and feeling confident. And I walked into work and all of a sudden people started giving me compliments. And I was like, wow, thanks. I appreciate you noticing that I took some extra time to present myself. And then my boss came up to me and he was like, hey, Travis, you know, why are you dressed up today? Because at my job, not even the CEO wore a suit and tie. He just, business casual. And I was like, oh, I'm just working on presenting myself better. He's like, okay, so you're not interviewing for other jobs on your lunch break or anything? And I'm like, no, just working on dressing well. He's like, okay, cool. A couple hours pass. And I'm on my way home and I get a phone call. And who is it? It's my boss. And he says, hey Travis, just wanted to let you know, we looked at the current market rate for your salary for people in your position. And it turns out you're about 3% lower than what most people in your job are making. So we went ahead and gave you a 3% raise. This was such a mind-blowing moment for me because all it took for me to get a raise was to dress up for work. I gave off the impression that I was trying and that I was putting in effort. And that's when it hit me that the way you present yourself to the world and the way you show up will have an effect on the way you want to be seen. That was an epiphany in my life, that story, because now I had a message. So I did what anyone would do. I started an Instagram page, and actually this was my first post right here. I mean, it's not horrible. I got a tie on, I got a cool sweater. So that was my first post, and I started getting a little better. I was going to a company Christmas party. I wore a tux. I wanted to take a shot of it. Long story short, I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know how to create content, how to pick a friggin' hashtag. I didn't know anything about Instagram. I just dove right into it. It's crazy now because, I started getting a little bit better. My photography got better. I started working with other photographers. In 2 months, I broke 10,000 followers. I was like, what is happening right now? This is crazy. What's going on? Is Instagram supposed to be this easy? But there were some messages that started coming in around this time. It was people actually opening up to me and saying like, thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for creating this content. It helped me be more confident and you helped me do that. I had one person reach out and say that I was the first person they were told about an eating disorder. So at this point, I'm feeling good. I feel like I have purpose. I ended up breaking 100,000 followers and Instagram just felt easy. And I was like, what? I guess this is how it is. And then literally everything changed. What felt like almost overnight was the infamous algorithm change in 2016. All of a sudden, my followers flatlined, I stopped growing, my engagement rate started dropping. Everything I had built felt like it was coming apart. That's when I realized that Instagram had changed and changed forever. There was a couple things I could have done. I could have quit I could have said, oh, I guess this isn't for me, this isn't right. I decided to dedicate an entire year to figuring out this algorithm and figuring out why the content I was creating wasn't being shared and being seen. And you know what? Here's something that you might be thinking, was that when I first started and grew really fast, sure, I had a lot of unfair advantages, quote unquote. I'm a male model. I had great photography from professional photographers, and those seem like the criteria for the old vanity Instagram. When that algorithm changed, Instagram decided that was no longer enough. And you know what? Instagram in 2019 and beyond, anyone can win at Instagram. And I'll tell you why, because you know who's crushing it now on Instagram? Meme pages. Meme pages are exploding. There's no model in this picture. There's no professional photography. It's a snap of a cat. And I had to dedicate the next year to figuring out how to create content that was not just about me, and that was valuable for people, and that was relatable. This is how I know Instagram has changed. The picture that just broke the world record for the most Instagram likes, 60 million or something like that, and it beat Kylie Jenner, was a freaking egg. It's anyone's game now. If Kylie Jenner was considered the old Instagram, freaking egg is the new Instagram. I am so excited to share 3 things that I've learned over the past year. This is called my EAR formula, E-A-R. E stands for engagement. It is the metric to measure your health of your Instagram. It is no longer about followers. It's all about engagement and the relationship you have with your audience. Number 2 is algorithm, because if you can make it work for you rather than trying to cheat it with bot followers or paying for like auto comments and things like that, Instagram will gladly push your content out to millions of people if you can create algorithm friendly content. The R in this strategy of the EAR formula is called reach, because this is how you get in front of new eyes and new customers. You have the engagement focused, algorithm friendly, reach focused content, you will win at Instagram. These 3 things will maximize your odds to make money, to grow an audience, to get the brand deals you want if you're an influencer, and to get more clients. Maybe you're just someone with a personal brand or a coach. By the way, inside number 2, algorithm, I'm gonna share with you one of the most unexpected secrets to the entirety of Instagram. I'm telling you, this hack is a game changer. Nobody will tell you to do this, but it's vital. If you look at this chart right here, I'll pull it up. The average engagement rate on Instagram is about 2%. So what does this mean for you? If you can get above a 2% engagement rate on your page, brand deals, clients, tons of engagement, you will start to create the type of content that you need to build your brand. When I'm talking about engagement and types of posts, I like to kind of do a litmus test. Whenever you're posting something, to ask yourself, does this have engagement power? And what does that mean? Engagement power is the ability to make someone stop and freeze and engage with your post in the first 1 to 2 seconds that they see it. Let's be honest, when people are on Instagram, they're just scrolling. They're scrolling and double tapping and scrolling and double tapping. And every now and then they'll see a post that makes them go, whoa, what is this? If you can be that post, that's the secret to more engagement. So there's 2 opportunities for engagement power. You have the photo or video, whatever you're posting, and you have the caption. So let's talk about some of the types of posts that you can do to maximize your engagement power. There's 4 buckets that fall into what I like to call meaningful content. Meaningful content is the type of content you need to create engagement power. The 4 buckets that I see most often are motivational, humorous, polarizing, and emotional. That tugs on your heartstrings. Motivational, here's an example of a motivational post. This was posted on this guy Jay Shetty's page, who's the best at motivational posts and emotional posts too. This was Ed Sheeran. You know, it says, give me a few years, I've got some big plans. And it's him like playing a guitar and then an after pic of him playing to millions and millions of fans. This is motivational content. Got an 8.8% engagement rate. Talk about way above average. Here's an example of a humorous post that was posted by Fuck Jerry. This is funny, it's relatable, it's going to get engagement, people are gonna tag their friends in it, and they're gonna save this post. Those are all the metrics that Instagram looks at when they are gauging whether your post is valuable and if they should push it out to more people. Polarizing, the infamous Gary Vee. He posts, you're not stuck, you're just inexperienced. This is polarizing because it kind of stings, but it's true. And when you can say real, true things that people are afraid to say, it's like a breath of fresh air. People will tag their friends in it, they'll save it, it'll cause debate. It's not a bad thing. Creating conversation and dialogue is a good thing. An example of emotional, this is from Dogs Being Basic. And this is a story about a woman who ran a marathon. At mile 7 or something, she found a puppy, ended up running the whole marathon carrying this beautiful puppy and ended up adopting it. How sweet. So those are just a few examples of the types of content that you should create. When it comes to captions, captions are what I like to call the 3 G's of captions. Give choices, gamify, get vulnerable. These are the 3G strategy of creating amazing captions that get people to comment. So when you post something, oftentimes, you've heard ask the audience to comment, ask. That doesn't always work anymore, because that could just be something as simple as, what are your thoughts on this? What's your opinion? Remember, people are scrolling. And if you can capture their attention with the photo that falls into one of those 4 buckets, or the video, and then you have a comment that actually says something like, on a scale of poop emoji to fire emoji, how does this post make you feel? You're giving them options. When you give somebody options, it's so easy for someone to just say, oh, let me comment, left, right, smiley face. It's so much easier than asking someone to think, because they're there to escape thinking. People are on social media to escape reality, to get away from all the thinking they have to do for their job. So don't make them think when they're on Instagram. Give them choices. Another thing is to gamify your posts. Can you spot the differences? And I put up 2 pictures that are nearly identical, and I wanted them to look and try to see where the differences were and then comment what they thought they were. So if you can gamify something and make it fun for people, they're going to comment, they're going to tag their friends in it. And number 3G is to get vulnerable. And what I mean by this is, when you share personal stories, you might be afraid that people will judge you, or that they're going to, I don't know, your fear of rejection might kick in. But here's the thing about vulnerability is, when you share a personal story and people listen to it, they don't automatically think, oh, how dumb is this person? They think about themselves. They think about their life. They think about how your story also relates to them. So the more personal you can make a story, the more universal it becomes. So that's so important for getting vulnerable and connecting with people, because they're going to look at it as a relatable thing, not as a I'm judging you for whatever vulnerable story you shared. Here's a couple examples of engagement power posts that I did. This was one post I did where I shared a vulnerable story, and I was like, I don't feel like a creative person. I've never seen myself that way. And then at the very end, I snuck in a little line that said, if you read this far down, leave a mind blown emoji in the comments. The result of this was awesome. Over a 2.5% engagement rate, over 130 comments or something like that. So this one has a few different strategies stacked up, right? Within the men's fashion niche, I understand that there's a debate going on between timeless style and street style. People take sides. And so when I post something that flirts with those edges, remember video 1, it can be polarizing. I did just that. I posted as me in a suit and me in a street style outfit, and I gave choices. I said left or right. What happened was 2.5% engagement rate, well above the average. 125 comments. I'm stacking these strategies now, right? I'm having the engagement power photo. I'm asking them for their opinion. I'm giving them easy options so they have an opportunity to comment and tag their friends in it. Make it fun for them. Make it about them, not about us. Remember in video 1, you are not the hero. Your audience is the hero. You are the guy. That's how you need to position yourself. Here's some next steps real quick, is to check your audience quality score on Hype Auditor, which was tip number 1. Tip number 2 of our ear strategy is creating content that's algorithm friendly. So a lot of people look at the algorithm as this monster that eats their post for lunch, and all I feel like I've heard lately is, oh, this algorithm is so frustrating. Monsters can be tamed. Just look at the egg. Freaking egg, I swear. This algorithm monster, yes, it can be tamed, and it can be your best friend. And there are 5 ways to get seen on Instagram using these algorithm metrics. The number 1 metric that the algorithm looks at is interest. So based on somebody's previous activity in the past, this is what they're going to show more of in the future. So the number 2 metric is timeliness. And basically this just means Instagram weighs timelier posts that were posted in the last day over posts posted a week ago or 2 weeks ago. Making sure that you're posting daily. Number 3 is the relationship that you have. How you engage with your audience will let Instagram know how close of a relationship you have, and it'll show more of your posts to them. Number 4 is usage. All this means is Instagram has to choose what post to show you based on how often you log in. So if you're logging in once a day, it's got to pick from a different group of posts than if you're logging in once an hour. Let's move on to best practices for each of these. So for interest, the best practice is to create that engagement power content that gets people to stop within the first 1 to 2 seconds. Number 2, the best practices for timeliness is to post once a day. This is so important because once a day is that perfect medium to make the Instagram algorithm happy, but not spam your followers and make them kind of follower fatigue. The next best practice here is to post when the highest percent of your audience is active. The command app that I mentioned at the very beginning, you can figure out all of that information. This is just something I added on, is to post less, but post better. Those are the best practices for timeliness. The best practices for a relationship is to engage with your audience and talk with them in the direct messages. This will tell Instagram that you are closer than just you posting and them commenting. You're actually building a relationship with them. That's what social media is about. That's what the algorithm wants to see. So here's an example of a relationship post that I did. This is actually a picture I posted and I said, free editing tutorial. If you would like this free editing tutorial, leave a comment. Just say yes, please. Oh my gosh. Yes, please, yes, please, yes, please, yes, please. Brrr, so many people were like, yes, please. So now what's happening is I'm getting people commenting, I'm responding, and I'm direct messaging them. This tells Instagram we have a good relationship. My post will show up in front of their pages because we're on a DM level. There's one secret that I'll share with you. The entirety of Instagram is like an amazing hack and nobody's telling you to do it. Nobody's telling you to do it. Why? Because it goes against common practice, goes against common belief of all of Instagram. You ready for it? Get rid of followers. Nobody does this, but it is so vital. Instagram divides your followers up into 4 categories: active accounts, influencers, mass followers, which are the people who are following like 5,000 people, and all these suspicious accounts, bots, ghost followers, dormant accounts, whatever. Whenever you post something, Instagram will push your post out to about 10% of your current following. They'll gauge whether or not to push it further based on that engagement of that 10%. If the 10% who sees what you post are fake accounts, inactive accounts, bots, Instagram will shut your post down. We'll say this is not getting engagement, it must not be good content, we're not gonna push it any further. Imagine if you get rid of those followers and every time you post, it's only going to active accounts and real people and people who are interested and want to see what you're posting. Then Instagram will say, oh, this post has value. Let's push it out to everybody else, right? How do you scrub your list? Well, Instagram just came up with a new feature that allows you to get rid of followers. You just go into your following and there's actually now 3 dots next to every follower and you can click that and just say unfollow. But how do you identify who these suspicious accounts are to get rid of them in the first place? Well, there's a tool I like to use called Social Audit Pro. This will actually scrub your whole account, spit back a report, and it will say how many of each of these followers you have. And there's a tool you can download. I think it's like 30 bucks. It will scrub your list for you and they stay under the Instagram terms and conditions of 25 posts per hour. This is a powerful tool. Highly, highly recommend you use this. The best practice for usage, you're posting once a day. And imagine that people who follow you log in once a day. They'll see your post. Awesome. Imagine they log in once an hour. Then the posts that they saw before may not show up again. So what's the best practice that you can do to utilize Instagram stories? For every hour that people spend on Instagram, about 23 minutes are actually spent on stories. So if you can post 5, 6, 7, 8 stories a day, you'll stay top of mind. So I would say the next steps for you is to actually scrub your list. Get rid of those followers. I know it goes against all common practices. Remember, Instagram's changed. Don't look at Instagram as having a lot of followers. Look at it as a place to provide value. And you can't provide value to fake people and fake accounts. You don't want your content going to those accounts. You want it to go to real people that you can provide value to. The next one is to reach further. And this is my golden hashtag strategy. Everybody asks me, what about hashtags? How many hashtags should I use? Which ones should I use? Here's the thing. There's the 2 R's of hashtags. Make sure they're right and make sure they're relevant. Relevant means relevant for your brand, relevant for your industry and whatever niche you're in. Now, what does right mean? If you're a business person, you own your own business and you put hashtag entrepreneur, that's got like almost 500 million posts on it. Do you think that your post is gonna be seen, or it might be drowned out by all of the mentions of hashtag entrepreneur? It's probably not gonna make it to the very top unless it just goes insanely viral. So here's the golden hashtag strategy. You're allowed up to 30 hashtags by Instagram. You can use all 30. I typically don't. I use about 10 to 15. That seems to be the magic number that does the trick. But make sure that 50% of your hashtags are in the 100,000 to 500,000 mentions. Make sure they're relevant hashtags. Use the plan app that I mentioned at the beginning to pick those hashtags, to save them. You can save different sets of groups. You can save multiple groups of hashtags and copy and paste them right into your caption. The next 20%, make sure they're in the 0 to 100,000 range. Now these are gonna be very post-specific tags. So if you're a food blogger and you're posting about a spaghetti dish or an Italian dish, maybe it's very specific to a restaurant, hashtag that restaurant or hashtag the specific dish it is. They're hyper-targeted, so you're gonna get in front of the right people for that post. The next 20%, you want to have about 500,000 to 1 million. In the chance that your post goes viral, you will move to the top of a very highly engaged hashtag, which will just push you further. And that leads me to the last 10%, that should be 1 million plus. Because if you go higher and higher and higher, you could end up at the top of a multi-million mentioned page, which game change it right there. Here's some quick numbers and results of my golden hashtag strategy, some posts that I've done. This post right here, I'll pull up the insights, had about 66,000 impressions. 14,000 of those impressions came from hashtags. That's the power of the golden hashtag strategy. If you are constantly reaching that many people and getting 500, 200, 300, even 100 new followers from every post, imagine if you're posting once a day, at minimum, that's 500 new followers a week. That's an insane growth rate. Everything we've talked about, stack these on top of each other to have a compound effect for growth and engagement and providing value to your audience. So the next steps are to create your own golden hashtag strategy. Whatever niche you're in, come up with 15 to 20 hashtags that fall into that golden hashtag range. Start implementing it and testing it, seeing which ones give you the most reach. So some of my final thoughts from an influencer perspective. There's a lot of hate on the word influencer these days because people are out there scamming their followers. They're out there selling out and promoting any old brands just to make a buck. My goal and my mission is to reclaim what it really means to be an influencer. And it's not about the free clothes. I mean, they're cool. Keep sending them to me. But it's not about the free clothes or free shoes or trips. It's about the relationship that you can form with your audience. The things that I'll remember at the end of the day are the people who DM'd me telling me that I helped them overcome an eating disorder, or I helped someone get their suit fitted for a wedding. Those precious moments that people have in their life, that's what it's about at the end of the day. I would love to hear some of your feedback. I would love to hear of any successes you've had. Shoot me a DM on Instagram. I love connecting with you guys. Thank you so much for sticking around, and I'm very excited for what you have in the future and using Instagram as that tool to get there. We'll talk to you soon. Peace.